Before World War I, this is my next fact, the famous Ringling Brothers, you guys have probably heard of them, they actually employed more than 1,000 people. They owned nearly 350 horses.
No,
poor babies.
that's a lot.
More than 26 elephants and 16 camels. And you wonder, how do you get a wild animal that is that big to do things?
I used to wonder that all the time. I used to be like, how the heck? What do they do?
Well, there's a few different tactics, and we'll get into more detail later on in this episode. But one of the things that they do is they deprive them of food. And they abuse them. They use bull hooks.
The sticks. With
and
the
whips.
The prings. Yeah, the whips. Ugh,
and
horrible.
the only time, I always say this, that whips should ever be used is when it's consensual. And 2 people consent. Or more, I mean.
Whoa. Jamie is on a roll today.
And they should be pleather, just saying.
Yeah, hello. You better say that part.
Okay. Not mine. Also, just to add on to my fact about the Ringling Brothers employing people, they needed 92 railroad cars to travel around, and Barnum and Bailey's circus was actually even bigger. Circuses actually used to get a lot of criticism even back in the day. I think even in like the 1900s, when the church was mad that people were spending money on entertainment
instead of the church,
instead of religious pursuits.
I'm done. I'm done with the church.
Isn't that funny?
Like, don't you give them the money, give us the money. I'm like, I'm pretty sure God doesn't need the money, but
yeah, they said that's enough money to sustain 3 missionaries for a year. I'm like, okay, bro.
You're like, who invited you? Go over there. You should be liberating the animals, not talking about money.
No. Yeah, that's the thing. They weren't actually concerned about the animal abuse. They're like, this should be going towards getting people closer to God.
You'd be like, I wanted to take my mission trip to Africa. Yeah. I want that money. Like, that's fucked up.
I do have to agree with them, though, that we should not be spending it on these type of ways to entertain. So really, this episode is going to be super interesting to, I think, all of you, because when I was prepping for this, I was shocked to find some of this stuff out. So we kind of painted the picture for you guys that, okay, circuses, they're not.
No bueno.
They're no bueno. Nothing's super ethical about it. But today in this episode, we are going to be talking about one of the most notorious circuses, Shriners Circuses. Have you heard of them?
Heard of them.
So there's a fraternity. It's called Shriners International.
Well, yeah, had me at fraternity. Yeah. Nothing good can come from that.
Well, these people pride themselves on brotherly love, compassion, service to others. They even set up a Shriners Children's Hospital to give donations to help sick children. This Shriners International.
Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag.
And the problem here that we have is there are certain chapters under Shriners International that rent out animals. They hire animal exhibitors to come to their circuses to perform and have the animals perform. And the public is under the impression that the money being raised from these circuses are going to go towards helping sick children.
Yeah, right.
These are people that are Freemasons. You have to be a Freemason to then even join Shriners International. Little culty. These people got temples set up. And what investigations have found is that a lot of these fundraisers and circuses and the money from these circuses were actually going to temple activities.
What the heck are temple activities?
Well, I have here, and this is from the New York Times that did a little expose, that
I'm scared.
Much of the money collected to support the hospitals was commingled, it's an interesting word, with money used for liquor, parties, and members' travel.
Wow.
So
sounds like a fraternity for sure.
So they're
for sure
abusing animals,
getting drunk,
not giving money to sick children.
What the heck?
And
traveling the world,
partying it up in the temples. I mean, it's really sick. And the New York Times says in their article that more than 57%, this is years ago, but in the article it says more than 57% Of the $32 million the Shriners raised in 2005 through circuses, bingo games, raffles, went to the cost of the fraternity. So keeping the temple, liquor cabinets full, and
$32 million.
So only
That's insane.
But here's the catch: only 2% of the Shrine Hospital's operating costs came from the money raised from the Shrine temples and member dues. Wow. So you have these people that are saying, come to our circuses, we will help children. And, oh, there's no animal abuse that goes on here because they don't technically own the animals. The animals are not with the Shrine
all the time.
The Shriners.
They just rent them out when they go to location.
Well, they hire exhibitors, outside exhibitors, so that they're not responsible for any inspections or fines.
Smart little son of a ding dong.
And then they have the audacity to say that, well, because we just see the animals performing, they're having fun. Nothing wrong goes on here, but they don't know what goes on behind the scenes when the animals are being trained.
Nor do they probably give a shit.
Right. So the Shrine started in 1872 in New York City. It was like a social club for Masons, for Freemasons. In 1919, it started building a children's hospital, and they said that their operations would be supported by the Shriners International. Some of their fundraisers and some of their activities would help them to raise money for the hospital. So they pride themselves on like this idea that they're giving service to others and that it's full of love. And it's like, well, why are you then abusing animals in the process to do these things?
Right.
And I want to just bring up a quote from their website because this is like super interesting. They say, for over 100 years, the Shriners have sponsored this world famous event with proceeds going to a great cause. They're talking about circus, helping less fortunate children in your community. And that's from the Shrine Circus website. And then a Shriner in Texas, he totally like outed them. He's like, we Shriners don't use 1 penny of this circus revenue for our kids. We use the money from circuses to operate the temples. And this is all on film, by the way.
Did he say it like that too with the country accent?
That's how he talks.